The house stood at the end of a quiet suburban cul-de-sac, a picture of stability with its manicured lawn, white shutters, and a winding stone path leading to the front door. It was the kind of neighborhood where every driveway had a luxury SUV parked in it, where children rode their bikes under the careful watch of stay-at-home parents, and where everyone pretended that nothing ever went wrong. But beneath the surface, behind the drawn curtains and neatly trimmed hedges, secrets festered. Olivia had lived here for nearly a decade, molding herself into the role of the perfect wife. She had once loved the security of this place, the quiet predictability of it all. But lately, she felt like a ghost in her own home. The walls, once warm and familiar, now felt like a cage. Her husband, Nathan, was everything the outside world admired. Tall, confident, charming in a way that made people instinctively trust him. He was the kind of man who could turn a casual conversation into an opportunity, a business deal into a personal favor. He had built his success on his ability to manipulate people without them even realizing it. And for a long time, Olivia had been one of them. She watched him now from across the kitchen, the glow of the overhead light casting sharp shadows on his face. He was on his phone, always on his phone, his fingers moving in a steady rhythm as he sent off messages she wasn't privy to. She used to ask who he was talking to. Now she didn't bother. The answers were never the truth anyway. Their marriage had become a series of silent battles, unspoken accusations lingering in the air between them. She could feel the weight of something coming, something inevitable, but she couldn't yet name it. It was in the way he avoided her gaze, the way he stayed later at work, the way he had recently started locking his office door. "Are you working late again tonight?" she asked, keeping her voice neutral. Nathan barely looked up. "Yeah, big project." She nodded, her fingers tightening around the edge of the counter. Lately, big project had become his excuse for everything. Big project meant missed dinners, forgotten plans, the slow but deliberate erosion of the life they had built together. She turned away, staring out the window at the perfectly maintained backyard. The garden she had once taken pride in now felt like another reminder of the illusion they had built, a place where appearances mattered more than reality. Across the street, their neighbors were hosting another one of their weekly gatherings. Laughter and the clink of wine glasses drifted through the air, a soundtrack to the life Olivia used to believe she had. She wondered if they saw it too, the cracks forming beneath the surface. She forced a smile as she turned back to Nathan. "Don't work too hard." He gave her a distracted nod, already absorbed in whatever conversation was happening on his screen. And just like that, she knew. He wasn't just slipping away from her, he was already gone. The realization settled in her stomach like a stone, heavy and unmovable. Something was happening, something he wasn't telling her. And for the first time in their marriage, Olivia wasn't going to let it go unnoticed. As she walked upstairs to their bedroom, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the hallway mirror. The woman staring back at her looked the same. Same wavy brown hair, same green eyes, same delicate features. But there was something different in her expression, something sharp and knowing. The world around her still looked the same, but she knew with absolute certainty that it was about to change. And when it did, she would be ready. The following weeks unfolded like a slow descent into something Olivia could no longer control. Nathan's absences became more frequent, his excuses thinner. The air between them had turned electric with unspoken words, a tension so thick it felt suffocating. One evening, Olivia found herself parked outside a downtown hotel. She wasn't sure what had led her here, instinct, suspicion, or the undeniable fact that Nathan had lied about working late yet again. The moment she saw him step out of a sleek black car, laughing with a woman she didn't recognize, something inside her cracked. She watched as he placed a hand on the woman's lower back, guiding her toward the hotel entrance with the same effortless charm he had once used on her. Olivia felt a strange detachment, as if she were watching someone else's life fall apart. By the time she got home, her hands were steady, her thoughts eerily calm. She wasn't going to cry. She wasn't going to scream. She was going to act. The next morning, she walked into Nathan's office while he was in the shower. His laptop sat open on the desk, emails displayed on the screen. Olivia had never been one to invade his privacy, but then again, he had never been one to erase her from their life. She scrolled through his messages, her pulse quickening. Transactions, offshore accounts, whispered deals she didn't understand but knew were far from legal. And then, buried beneath layers of correspondence, the undeniable proof, her name removed from the deed to their house, signed off with Nathan's effortless precision, the final betrayal. Olivia closed the laptop and straightened, her mind already moving ahead of her emotions. She had spent years playing the perfect wife. Now she was going to play the perfect enemy. She started small, passwords, account numbers, every scrap of information she could gather without raising suspicion. Nathan's arrogance was his downfall. He never imagined she would fight back. Then came the whispers, a carefully placed tip to the IRS, a few well-crafted emails to his business partners. Olivia knew exactly how to chip away at the empire he had built, how to make him question everything and everyone. By the time Nathan realized something was wrong, the cracks had already turned into fractures. Investors were pulling out, legal threats were emerging, and the once unshakable confidence he carried had started to slip. He came home one night, shoulders tense, anger barely restrained beneath his polished exterior. Olivia sat at the kitchen table, waiting. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded, tossing his phone onto the counter. She met his gaze without flinching. "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean. The SEC is looking into my company. The bank put a hold on our accounts." "Our accounts?" she interrupted smoothly. "I thought they were just yours." Nathan stared at her, realization dawning in his darkening expression. For the first time in their marriage, he looked at her as an equal. And for the first time, Olivia felt like she had already won. The trial was swift. Nathan's financial crimes ensured a lengthy sentence, and Olivia, armed with the evidence she had gathered, emerged unscathed. The media painted her as either a cunning strategist or a betrayed wife seeking justice. The truth, as always, was somewhere in between. In the end, Olivia walked away with the house, the accounts, and a future unburdened by the weight of his deception. As she stood in the doorway of her home, watching the world move on without Nathan, she felt nothing but relief. She had lost him long ago. Now she was finally free. But freedom, she realized, was just the beginning. Over the next month, she secretly moved assets into her company, restructured investments, and secured properties under new trusts. Daniel, too busy with his own schemes, never suspected. When he finally attempted to access accounts for a new property deal, he was met with rejection after rejection. His face paled. "What the hell is going on?" That evening, Samantha greeted him with a glass of whiskey. "I know what you've been doing, Daniel. The transfers, the offshore accounts, the hidden assets. Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" His expression twisted in shock. "Sam, it's not what you think." She slid a folder onto the table. "I reversed everything. Every account, every property, every asset is now legally protected from you." His hands trembled as he flipped through the pages. "You can't do this." She stood, leveling him with a calm gaze. "I already did, and now you're going to lose everything." The next morning, investigators arrived at Daniel's office. Financial fraud, misappropriation of funds, and attempted property theft, all meticulously documented. As he was led away in handcuffs, he turned to Samantha with desperation in his eyes. "You planned this." She smiled. "No, Daniel, you did. I just made sure the consequences fit the crime." As she watched the officers take him away, she took a deep breath. The empire she built was finally hers again, and this time no one would take it from her.